start again. Yeah, I would like to talk about the app catalog and the control plane API. I've been working on that lately, and now some customers are starting to have access to the control plane API, so they can leverage on it to run their own app catalogs. First of all, for the ones that has not familiarized with the app catalog architecture, yeah, I want to slightly define what pieces are on the map. So we have the control plane cluster where all our automation running, all the operators, API and different components. And then we have the tenant clusters that are actually the clusters created by the customers. And there we have also an operator, which is the chart operator. So right now the cluster admins from the customer side can access to the control plane API, the Kubernetes API, and they can define 3 CRs: the app catalog, the app, and the chart. Oh, sorry, 2 only: app catalog and app, because the chart is auto-generated. The main idea is the app catalog is the entity that defines where is the repository of apps living and which different versions of the applications are there. And then we have the app, which is the instance of one application, and it has attached the cluster where it should be installed and the different configuration that it should have. So when you define as a customer user, when you define a application custom resource, the app operator will handle all the configuration part. So it will merge different configuration values that I will explain later. And also it will create a chart CR in the tenant cluster that you have specified in your app custom resource. After that, the chart operator will realize that there is a new chart or a modified chart CR in the tenant cluster. It will install and upgrade the chart with the new version or the new configuration. Okay. You can interrupt me if you have any question. So just to give you a slight view of what we have done, we have created a new role in each control plane for the customers, and we have also attached their identity providers to the control plane via OIDC and DEX, so they can now kind of assume the role tenant admin. And this role has the ability to get, list, watch, create, update, patch, and delete apps and app catalogs. Okay, so that's what they can do right now. Then let's go through the different CRs that the customer can create, and I give you a kind of explanation because I've discovered that some of the properties are misleading, and you think it's using for something, but then you discover that it's not really right. So let's starting with app catalog, which is actually quite simple. It has some configuration part. So you have to pass for each catalog, or you can pass. It's not compulsory, but you can pass a config map and a secret that you have to submit. You have to apply it first to the control plane, so it should exist. And when they are exist, you have to pass the name and namespace here where the config map or the secret are stored. And in this config map and the secret, we have like the first level of customization for each app. So it's kind of the values YAML that will be taken as a configuration when the application or the chart will be installed. right? So I will show you later, but you can, for example, save here like kind of which provider is running the app catalog, or I don't know, some kind of things like registry, URL, things like will be the same for all the applications that are stored in this app catalog. Okay, then we have some metadata like the description, what is about the catalog, and the logo that it will be displayed, for example, in our UI. And then right now we only support one kind of storage, which is Helm. So yeah, you have to give the URL of the repository or of the location where the the Helm repository is running, and then the title that will be shown in the UI too.
There is no way to put credentials in the Helm repository right now, right?
In the Helm, so I mean, you can inject secret.
No, I mean that people have protected Helm repositories.
Not right now. I think it's not implemented.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we have tracked this specific thing, because there was I think in the engineering day a question from IC Consult, but I don't know. Yeah, I think we have the ticket. I'm not completely sure. Yeah, but today is not possible. Okay, then we have the application CR, which I split it in different slides to try to clarify. And for example, here we are trying to install a Prometheus in a cluster if2 DEF. So that's important. When we use app CR, we have to know the cluster where it's going to be installed, right? And this cluster ID will be used in different parts. So this is the most like simple configuration that you can pass to the application CR, which is just the catalog name that has to be already applied to the control plane, and then it's taking the application from there, right? Then the name of the application and the namespace where the application will be deployed. Okay, so there is always a bit of confusion between the metadata namespace and the namespace of the application where it's going to be deployed. And right now, if we use the namespace of each cluster. So when you want to install an application on the cluster, the namespace should be the cluster ID. Okay. And this namespace will be whatever namespace that you want to install in the tenant cluster. Then we have the version, which is the version of the application. So the chart package, each chart packet that you produce has a version. So this will be the version of the application that will be stored. Okay, that's the minimum information that you have to pass when you create an app. An optional thing is, as a user, as a customer user, you can pass a user configuration, which is a customization, okay, of the application. So, for example, it's Prometheus, and you want to add a service monitor. Then you create a values YAML, and then you have to submit. You have to apply a config map with this name, with Prometheus user values. It's a convention. You can use something else, and in the namespace of the cluster, right? Because then we have everything containerized. Right now there is no validation for that, but indeed it should be there. So we can apply RBAC accordingly to the theme. Okay, then we can do the same for the secret. The secret and the confirmation will be merged at the end of the chain when the chart operator is applying the chart installation. And yeah, the only difference is that the secret is codified space 64, and it will have all the benefits of the Kubernetes secrets. What else? Obviously in the control plane, because it will be a values YAML and it will be whatever you want in your chat templates. What else? So this is the user config map, right? It's something that can provide our users. But then we have the config. So the user config is for our users, so for if it's a managed app for the last step of the configuration, level 3. Config is the second level of configuration. So we have the app catalog, which is the config map on the secret of the app catalog, which is the first level. Then we have the second level, which is this config. And we have the third level, which is the user config, right? And the config level is provided by us, by the Answer. And these are cluster values. So these are values from the cluster, like the cluster ID, I don't know, the number of nodes, could be different parameters that are detected from the cluster CR and other CRs that are in the control plane. That gives you possibilities to customize your application depending on different configuration or different state of the cluster itself. Okay, this is auto-generated by the cluster operator. So the cluster operator creates this config map and this secret. We don't have to create it. The only thing is we need to reference it. So we need to put this kind of convention, which is the cluster ID plus cluster and values. And it will live again in the namespace of the cluster ID. And the last part of the app CR that I have not defined is the kubeconfig. So the kubeconfig, again, this is created by the cluster operator, and it. So we don't have to do it in our cluster. We don't have to provide this kubeconfig, but we need to follow the same convention. So we need to follow the convention of the secret name. So the secret name will be the cluster ID plus kubeconfig. It will live in the namespace of the cluster ID. We need to specify also the context name, which would be the cluster ID. Okay, and as we are reading this from the kubeconfig, in cluster should be false. Okay, this is what we need to do from running this to the via control plane API. Obviously, if you run it in your Minikube and you're running app operator and chart operator there, you can use different configuration. But in our platform, it works like that. I made an example of a catalog. This is the app catalog. I put in GitHub page. I have just an application here, and I have the index YAML. So when we have the app catalog created, like kind of this, the type of storage here, the GitHub pages, we generate the index YAML, and then we upload it here, right? To generate an application, if you know a bit of Helm, you have your Helm files, your chart YAML, your templates, everything. And then you do Helm package app, and it generates the tarball. You can add it then to the index YAML with this command, helm repo index with merge, and it adds this in this format. So it generates, add the application, my app, with the version that you have added here, and update this metadata. Then you can update it here, and then you have your application in the catalog already. In Answer, we have everything automated thanks to Architect and Circle CI. So every time that one of our managed apps have an update, we run different steps and we generate this index YAML updated in our different repositories, and it's automatically available to the customers. But it can be done for your own if you want to play, and then you can run your own app catalog, using GitHub pages, for example. So another thing that I want to show you is, instead of craft your app and app catalog YAMLs, you can go and use the kubectl JS, which is a kubectl plugin that we made in the hackathon. And I show you what it's doing right now. So basically, it abstracts some complexity of creating the YAMLs. Let me second to check the new ID. But yeah, for example, I'm going to create the app catalog in Gauss, and for that, all I have to pass to GS is the wait a second. This that there's the name, the description, the URL, and the logo of the catalog. And this is this plugin is generating me the mentioned custom resources, so the catalog, and also is generating the default secret and config map that will use the catalog. As I didn't give any secret values or any config map values, they are empty, but it's already generated and injected in the catalog. So I can directly apply this to the Gauss control plane API, and I will have a catalog there. In this, we have already a catalog there, so I can show you. kubectx Gauss catalog. Catalog is cluster. Is cluster wide, so you don't have to specify namespace, and it should be here. It's here. Okay, so we have the catalog in the in Gauss, and I can go to the HAPA and see the catalog, and it has in the index YAML reference to existing application, it will also list the application. Okay, that's the first step. Then the other kubectl command that I created is the app. So it's generating the app, and this is even easier because the app has this specification with a lot of options, but the only required things that you have to pass is the name of the app, the cluster ID, and then the version of the application. So for example, here, I pass in the people catalog name, my app, the cluster, version 1.0.1, and I'm going to apply it directly to the cluster I created to test. Here, this is the right one. Wait a second. Sorry. Yeah, it's the one. So this is what it generates. It's auto-generating the kubeconfig naming and the user config you pass to it. So let's apply it. kubectl apply as. Let's create it. So now, if I go to the cluster itself, I change the context to the cluster. I can see if it has created an app in this namespace, because I passed the namespace. I didn't pass any namespace, so it has taken also the cluster ID as a namespace. Yeah, the namespace exists, and the application is here. It's running since 29 seconds. Okay, so the kubectl plugin is not yet perfect. It has been a hackathon ticket, but the idea is that we continue working on that, and then we help the customer to generate the application and the app catalog easily. And at the same time, we are working in the validation and defaulting in the API. So all the defaulting also will be done by the admission controller, and there will be some validation there. So you don't put, for example, an application that does not exist in the catalog, things like that. So that will be improved with the time. And then the last thing I would like to show you is also I create a a Terraform app yesterday night. And yeah, I applied the application and it worked. I'm using a Terraform provider for it's not an official Terraform provider, but it works with custom resources. And yeah, if you want to show more or less what I did or how it looks, is here Terraform. My app. This is the Terraform. So I define the cluster, catalog, app name, and then yeah, I'm using the template file to like parse all the values in the manifest app, and then it can provision and destroy applications with Terraform, which is cool. But yeah, the official CRD support for HashiCorp is not there, so it cannot be used in Terraform Cloud yet. But at least it's something. And I think that's it.